Yeah. All right, let's get going. Go time. All right, welcome everybody. I got to remember that we're open to Twitter too, and can't assume that everybody knows what the hell I'm talking about and is up to date. But yeah, today would definitely go monster squeeze. I guess everybody has their own definition. But today was without a doubt what I was talking about, that we just weren't getting, or some bullish sentiment signals, and obviously gamma signals as well. Yesterday we could see it, right? It sort of developed later in the afternoon yesterday. It wasn't full participation, but like I mentioned in the steam room today, if you I had some SPY exposure. I felt pretty good going home after yesterday's close. I felt pretty good about a squeeze coming. I really did. And just because of how it lined up yesterday, price action wise, the put to calls didn't wash out. They usually are the first to go when things run their course. So, I felt pretty good that we would get a decent enough of a squeeze today, and this definitely meets the characteristics of that. We did have a late day fade, but yeah, that's normal, especially ahead of big job number tomorrow. Yeah, it was late, and it almost it resembled, almost had that gamma squeeze look to it, where they were just grabbing, you know what I mean, and reaching for a certain level. They we're looking for that trigger line or the flip line, whatever you want to call it, and force dealers to start hedging. So again, look good. And just to rewind, okay, and then we'll talk about where we're at now. All right. What we've been talking about is basically try to dumb things down, right? We want to dumb it down, keep it as simple as possible, block out a lot of the noise. It's because there's so much going on, especially now. There's so many different bulls in the air. Delta variant, China, the government, the debt default, whatever the fuck is going on, the Fed, right? Inflation. There's so many different bulls in the air, and it's easy to get wrapped up in the negativity, especially if we build a bias, especially if you've been playing the short side and been making money. Okay. And we'll talk about that quickly today too, because I saw in the room, a couple people were mentioning that, I don't know, maybe purposely, I don't know if they were unhappy about it, but were empty handed, couldn't really take advantage of the squeeze today. And, from the couple of people I saw mention that, they like to play the short side, right? And they're not talking about too. They made some money on the short side. There's been some opportunities, and they made money where I'm not participating on the short side at all. But when you do play both sides, you run the risk of missing a squeeze like this, and it may be worth your while, right? Because you're making up for it playing on the short side in this climate. But one of the reasons why my brain can't even go there. As why I don't like to play both sides, especially when I'm waiting for that, that decent risk reward setup. All right, but we'll talk about that in a little bit after we go over some stuff. So here's the story. Last time we met, I think what we were talking about is how there was sentiment support down here, right? Meaning that from this pull, okay, in my opinion, there was enough bearish sentiment out there, right, that we were seeing that there was a high probability of seeing squeezes every time they would try to flush it. Okay, we didn't have some of those bigger picture signals that really show up at major bottoms, right? the likelihood you're going to have that off just a 6% pull, it's not likely. It's possible if people get bared up enough and capitulate. Okay. But, it's not even a lot of time here involved. So we didn't have Sharpies getting aggressive, taking off hedges, getting long, hedge funds puking up their long positions. We didn't have that. Okay. And that was the risk, the odds of this bottom failing tactically. Okay. So what I mean by that is we had sentiment support here where we had decent odds that every time they try to flush, it would be met with a squeeze to keep bears honest. Okay. And that's the general premise, right? That's the general premise, that even though, for those of you out there who are more bearish than I can ever imagine, okay, I'm not trying to forecast what the market may do. I'm not naive enough to say, oh, this market, we can't go into a bear market. We can't go into a deep correction. I have no idea. You know what I mean? I don't even know how I could possibly see that or even attempt to see that right now. Okay. What I'm seeing and what I'm saying is that even if we have another huge leg down, okay, the likelihood is they got to wear out these bears or this bearish extreme sentiment that's built up from the weakness we've seen already. Okay. That's the premise, right? And what I mean by that, as far as the signals, again, those of you who are members will understand this better, right? That's tactical sentiment, right? This tactical sentiment indicator we look at, right? We had multiple bullish signals where it really didn't lead to much of a squeeze, right? We would see a squeeze the next day and then it would fail. We didn't really go anywhere, okay? But what I was referring to in regards of that sentiment support, because we didn't squeeze, okay, because we didn't get that much of a squeeze, they didn't run over any bears. So the bears are still there. They're still positioned there, okay? As soon as we get some selling again, boom, you're going to have bears leaning too hard again, right? So that's that sentiment support. It's not an imaginary line. That's what I'm referring to, okay? And in the price action, you could see it, clear as day, okay? And we were talking about last week, right? We were talking about, well, why not just start legging in here, right? Let's get aggressive and just start eating up everything we can on any day of weakness. I just start buying shit with two hands. The reason we didn't want to do that, and still in hindsight, even after today's squeeze, okay, the reason why we don't want to do that is because of the fact that we've rallied significantly from the COVID lows, okay? And we don't have some of those major signals we would like to have that are usually around bottoms. The ones that, the ones we saw at the COVID lows, the ones we saw at the 2018 lows, right? The 2015, 2016 lows, right? We didn't have that type of signal. Okay, we had enough for a tactical signal, right, to play for a squeeze, but we didn't have, actually, we weren't even, we were a couple indicators off. So we weren't even close to having that strong of a signal where we could get really aggressive, And the other thing is too, if you bite off more than you chew, you're too long, maybe the squeeze is not as big, as you would like, or you're holding on for more and you don't get out of what you were long. And now, because of the squeeze weared out a lot of those tactical bears, you roll over again, now you're too heavy and you're stuck. So there are multiple reasons, but we'll say that for another time, right? We didn't have a strong enough signal to leg in here aggressively, but it was enough to bite off a piece of SPX, SPY, ES, however you want to play it. Some of you played it with names, whatever's your fancy. have a little bit of time just in case, right? You're a little early or whatever the case, and just hold on to that for now. See, for me, like, and you guys know, right? I've been gun shy for a while because of how much this rally has stretched, and we really never had that strong of sentiment signal since the election, right? I'm willing to lose a bet here, right? I'm willing to lose my money here. I'm okay with it. If there's an exogenous event or there's a headline that overpowers what we're seeing and creates some selling, I'm okay with losing my money off this setup because I know the risk reward was worth it, right? It lined up. It's lined up solidly for us where the risk reward was worth taking a shot. So it doesn't bother me when I lose money there, as opposed to when I'm buying into hot sentiment and then, I beat myself up because I shouldn't do it, right? And the other thing that I was talking to you guys about, which sounded silly, but I just wanted you guys to understand what the hell I was talking about. I mentioned that it's not the worst thing in the world if we do lose our money on a swing bet for a squeeze here. Why? Because if we do, the likelihood is that next setup is going to be the strong one. You know what I mean? That next setup, if this would have rolled over from here with no squeeze, when that selling finally stopped, that setup in all likelihood would have been the one we could get aggressive into. So on one hand, okay, we lose a bet playing for a squeeze, okay, but now we have a setup that we've been dying for it feels like for years now. Okay, so that's what I was referring to, where it's not even a bad thing if this fails and we lose some money. We lose on a trade, but we could get excited because we'd be right around the corner. We'd have a real nice setup and probably a bottom that we can play off of for over the intermediate term. You know what I mean? With some length behind it. All right. So that's it, right? So today's the squeeze. You could see early on, I think by late morning. I ended up rolling. I had November's. I think he put on the Jan. I'm almost positive, but if he didn't, I'll let you guys know tomorrow. I'm almost positive. But we sold half and we rolled out. Oh no, not Jan, to February. He rolled out to February. I'll give you the deets tomorrow. I can post it even later if you guys want. All right. So I sold half the SPY and rolled out to February. I was contemplating whether to sell it all, but I ended up holding on to half. All right. So here's so now everyone, even myself, we're curious to know, okay, what now, right? What now? And what we got to do now is there's no way to plan ahead. Okay. I'm trying to explain this as best as possible so you guys know what I mean, what I'm talking about here. You don't want to get too ahead of yourself here. Okay. Now that the squeezes happen, a lot of the short-term signals have heated up. Okay. From bullish signal. We want to see how players position over the next couple days or even couple weeks. Okay. And what I mean by that is like the COVID lows or any low from those COVID lows on, okay, which is a better example. So what I mean is this, okay? Here are the COVID lows, okay? Here, how do we really know, what are we going to do now? Or even here, how do we know, how do we plan? What's our approach? Okay. And what you'll find to realize off these lows, off these bottoms, is that it usually has a lot to do with how players are positioned. And then you can plan accordingly. Okay. So generally what I mean is, if you guys remember off the COVID lows, we continuously spoke about non-believers. Okay. Meaning that every time this market would rally, right, and have a little bit of a pullback, everybody thought, oh, at least we're retesting the lows. At the least, we're going to retest the lows. If not, roll over completely, right? The news was awful still. Everybody was calling it just a bear market squeeze or a dead cat bounce, right? And we saw it in the positioning. Nobody wanted to be a part of any upside exposure, all right? And what that tells us is any pullback, any weakness, we need to lean bullish, right? We need to look for things to buy. If we get a pullback here and sweeper activity is aggressive and they start popping names off, right? That we want to get long, all right? As opposed to if everybody believes in the rally and thinks that, is positioned for the correction being over, and now, they're getting a little too sloppy on the long side, that's where we need to be cautious and be a lot more careful, right? And be a lot more careful until they get shook it out, basically. That's what it comes down to. So we have to see how, things develop over the next couple of days. We have job number tomorrow. We'll see, how that looks. We have a CPI number that's going to be a big one. You know what I mean? And we'll see how that turns out. Because I told you guys, for me, and it means nothing, because if everybody is positioned for what I believe, I have to go the opposite, even though this is what I see and I believe. Like I mentioned to you guys, okay? And this is something we spoke about Monday, right? On the Monday webinar. It was a members only webinar. I got deja vu, okay? This has been 2018 looking in the mirror for me. The way sentiment has set up, the way positioning is set up, the way the price action has been, right? This has been 2018. And, we spoke about how we're somewhere over here, right? Somewhere in this vicinity. And, whether we get it in a couple days or we get it over the course of whatever this is, a week, we are likely to see something like this. Okay. Again, it's not exact. It's not gonna mirror exactly what went on in 2018, but you get the thesis, right? Rally, rally, rally. The health of the rally was atrocious. Okay. The breadth was horrible. Very little participation. Underneath the hood, there was deterioration all over the place through the summer. And then look, end of September, we top, we roll over, right? So again, I don't know to the day, but same premise. And what happened here was same thing. Here, okay, we started to get bullish sentiment signals. Okay, the ones we look at, we're all lighting up bullish here in this vicinity here. Okay, and we weren't squeezing like we would do in the bull trend bull market. The next day, there wasn't this big, powerful squeeze. We would squeeze and fail. But ultimately, we weren't going much lower. Okay, very similar to what we just went through. Then the squeeze followed. Okay, but look what happened here. You see this? All right. By the time this came around here, this top, every single bear, right, as far as sentiment measures, was not only not bearish anymore, they were bullish. They were bullish. Okay, I remember it like it was yesterday. Hedge funds added and went all in to this consolidation. Okay, they went all in off this pullback, thinking this pullback was a gift. And then they got run over. Everybody spit up their longs. Everybody capitulated. And here's where every major sentiment signal flashed bullish that you could possibly dig up. All right. So again, the premise we're looking at, right? We started to squeeze off here. And now let's see how players react to the price action, to the news, to all the noise out there. And we'll see how it materializes. You know what I mean? Because if everybody, right, if we get something like this and then a retest of this low and everybody's suicidal over here, okay, that's going to be a good indication that the lows are likely in. And we need to be buyers. You understand? Right. As opposed to if they believe the lows are in and they're starting to put on all their exposure that they puked up and then some, then, you know, you guys were asking me what's the bunker situation? That would be the bunker scenario, you know, where you got to be careful because you need them to spit up, you know, to take that risk off the table. You need them to spit up. So that's what I mean. We got to keep our eyes open. We got to pay attention and see how it develops, you know, and block out as much of the noise as we possibly can, because that's what gets distracting. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times when the markets officially bottom, all the noise around you is as bad as it's ever been. You understand? It rarely is an improvement or it gets better, right? There's not a siren that goes off and says, everything's better, everybody get long again. You know what I mean? Right? Like the COVID lows. We kept saying there are zombies walking around Manhattan right now. That's how scary shit is. But you got Sharpies, took off all their hedges, are max long. You got the BOVA bull bear indicator, flashing bull signal, right? You had everything that you needed to light up bullish you had, except for the noise, which was scary. Yeah, and you know, we're wired a certain way. It's hard to fight that, but it's a little bit easier when you're ready for it. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about it now. We're preparing ourselves. You understand? We're preparing ourselves. Because I honestly, and you guys know, we've been talking. The China situation, like the whole, what's going on in China, just as a whole, with their economically and with what they've been doing, that has the ingredients to be a time bomb. Without a doubt. There's not a doubt in my mind. You know what I mean? It's not a doubt in my mind. And they're not, you know, not a lot of players are focused on that. They were focused on the Delta variant. They're focused on this government shutdown. They're focused on rates, right? They're focused on everything else. So, you know, once we see news continuously get worse in China, do players react to it or they brush it aside? They brush it aside, we got a problem, right? Just like COVID. COVID was knocking the shit out of everybody in Asia, and this market was going to new highs, remember? You had people selling SPX puts into the highs while people are dropping dead from COVID in Asia. And then once it hit the market here, whoosh, because everybody was caught offside. All right, so again, we have no reason to jump the gun. Yeah, and that's why, listen, for members of the Steam Room, right, we talk about this stuff almost too much. We talk about it, right? We spend a lot of time talking about it. We talk about it every day. For those of you who aren't members, You come on these webinars, we talk about it, and never too much, but so we're going to be on top of it. We're going to be on top of it, but I get it. I like to plan, but it's really difficult to plan right now. It's difficult to plan after we saw this squeeze. I will say this. There should be, how do I get to the forward here? All right. This is what, I drew this on a bunch of charts. Okay. This is where I think we got tactical bullish sentiment for the first time, and gamma, and where I think I put my first piece of SPY long on. So that's where I drew this, right? So this is how it usually plays out, or sentiment, right? You get a squeeze, you get a bounce around, and then ultimately, there's nothing changed, right? You got to this downtrend line, and all you had was a sentiment squeeze. Nothing's changed. It feels like maybe something's changed, but really nothing's changed. This is normal price action when people get too bearish here. So what I'm saying is, if we sell off and come back to the lows, okay, I really believe we still are going to have enough sentiment there to hold it if it happened soon enough. Okay. Will it be there a week from now after a little more of a rally or up and down? I don't know. So that's why we gotta keep on top of it. That's why we got to keep on top of it. But this is we talk about 2018. This is what it would resemble, right? So here, move to the downtrend line, little dip, right? People think, uh-oh, told you, just a downtrend, then you break it, right? Then you run up, this is 2018. You run up to here into some resistance, and you get some selling, right? And it's really just making people nuts. Maybe eventually you get a retest, who knows? But for the short term here, something like this. And I think off weakness, we could look to play off weakness from this point if we don't rally any further. If we rally further, we might eat away too much of that sentiment support. Right. So here's for those who wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Hold on a second. This is yesterday. Okay. And we've looked at this in the past, right? With all, I'm talking to non-members now. I know we look at it constantly, but you had a lot of risk-on sectors come into buy territory, right? You had the semis, which we always look forward to. Tech really got washed out. The only one was really oil. Healthcare, God, did that even overshoot? Financials got the head start. It almost got there and was the first to start outperforming and rally. Basic materials, biotech, consumer discretionary didn't quite get there. Mining pretty much got there. REITs got there, right? So you had enough. Energy too. I mean, Jesus, that was some move. That was some move. XLF sentiment. Yeah, I mean, was it as hot as energy? I know, Jules, somebody's I can't explain to you. There's nobody who comes to this door all day long, always when I'm on a webinar. Let me see something there. Jules, leave them alone. Oh, they left a package, maybe. Yeah, I guess, right? I don't know. Maybe I wasn't following it as much. This energy rally was pretty strong. This energy rally was pretty strong. So you can see this, we'll see how it looks off today, kind of lags, but if we do get a day or two of selling, you're still going to have some okay support here. You know, the other thing that we talk about a lot, right? Oh. Right, so this is like long D dog. This is what tells us like the squeeze will be worth playing. That's what basically I use it for. I know gamma is used for a million different things, right? But when I'm looking to play off, a pullback and off tactical bullish sentiment, if this is here, it tells me that it's worth taking a shot, right? Maybe IV's junked up because of the volatility, but if you have gamma all wound up like this, it's worth it because the snapback, when you get those dealers hedging, right, it's going to be strong. So, and this was just another thing here, right? You had into this recent low. I mean, that's, as you guys know, right? It's a lot of help. And, throughout the bull, when that gamma, what's going on? I'm going to lose my mind and I'm going to torch the house and throw jewels in the bay. That's a great question. When does gamma work the other way? Gamma works the other way. COVID. Okay. You saw what happened in COVID, right? And that was the risk here, Gamma Mia. All right, that was the risk. Okay. If you're wondering why I didn't get as aggressive as I did into the COVID lows, like why wouldn't I want to do that? That was the risk here. Let me that's me. That was the risk here that gamma would work in a bearish way. Okay, because the last time we had a setup into a high off gamma into expiration, remember we were talking about that, was the COVID high. That was the last time we had a similar setup. Okay, you had no SPX hedging and you had gamma at a spot where it could cause some trouble. And when no buyers show up, and for good reason, right? You had a pandemic, right? That's an exogenous event. If I ever seen one, you get this. And that's when it works in a bearish way. You can get flash crashes. You know what I mean? You could get when there are no buyers, when there is nobody to get dealers to flip and start hedging the other way, right? No one can turn the ship around. It can get out of control when you have nothing but selling. So when there are no buyers, it becomes a real problem. A real problem. So, but that's the thing here, right? That was the risk that something blows up in China or the government shutdown or whatever the case may be, okay? That was your risk here, an exogenous event. But, they're rare. They're rare. And like I said earlier, okay, it was worth not getting aggressive, but it was worth taking a shot trying to catch a squeeze overnight. It was worth risking the money here. And if an exogenous event bit you, it bit you. It was worth it. Because if it failed, I'm telling you, you would have had an unbelievable setup. We would have been more excited about the setup that materialized if we did get an exogenous event and lost our money there. And you could just see the sellers were done here. Like you really, you know what I mean? You really needed something material to get people to sell here. There was still negative news and they just, exactly. And they just they had no more bullets to fire. You know, they had no more bullets to fire. So, all right. But in the meantime, what we're going to look for, okay, any down day, any days of weakness, all right, where we see sweeper activity come into, we can find something to play. We don't want to marry anything here because we have earnings season. Believe it or not, it's here already. Can you believe it? Earnings again. It feels like every week is earnings, but we have earnings season here. Okay, that's an added risk. And you know, you got the CPI, all that stuff coming up here. So we don't want to get married yet to anything, but we want to trade. We want to play. But off weakness. And we're going to get it now too. We're going to get it. You know, we've been crying for this for a while. We were talking, right? We're going to get more bullish signals, in my opinion, where we can play off, even intraday. You know, even intraday. Here's where some of the stuff ended up. All right, so this is the squeezometer. Again, we know it takes a lot to get below like a 35. I think we got 39 was the low on this pull, I think. And we got up to 60 today. All right, so this was the anti-VIX bumped up against the sell zone. This is an intraday indicator, but this is all really short-term stuff. Yeah, this is all really short-term stuff. All right, when gamma gets greater than 5 billion, we will have plenty of swing, buy the dip swing opportunity close to zero gamma, not buy the dip for swing special. Yeah, swings have been, I mean, Ani, I don't know about you, but swings, yeah, I haven't even played them in so long. You know what I mean? I haven't really done much swinging in a while. Yeah, I just, for me, like, it's getting there. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm getting there. Like, if this is something we can bang around for a bit, possibly into late October, I think we can make swing trading great again. I really do. But right now, I don't know about you guys, I don't have much interest in swinging anything. Like, what would you want to swing here? Like, give me, like, what do you guys want to swing here? Oh, you guys are nuts with the names you're rattling off here. You know, maybe a little more of a poll, but there's too much. Like, see, you guys are mentioning some tech names, right? If interest rates start getting a little crazy to the upside, if you got a hot CPI or something coming up next week, you know, you get slammed in those things, right? You want to buy reopening names. If there's a global slowdown, you're going to get slammed in those things. Everything, it's tough here. It's tough. Fang. Lucy. Fang. I mean, these things are crowded, man. You know, it's just, I don't, nothing excites me. I hate to sound like sour grapes. XLF, believe it or not, has a little bit of more room left. It's over here. A little bit more room. MQ was an interesting name. MQ was it. FOSS, that was, that was a nice name to try to play for a squeeze. That was. You know what else, Karen? The Labu, L-A-B-U. That sounds like puts. I wouldn't buy puts yet. That I wouldn't do either. I would wait and let them ring out any of these, a chunk of these bears before buying puts. MQ caught some decent action. I think it was MQ, wasn't it? I think that's why they're talking about it. Yeah, MQ. This is it. And this, I mean, it looks interesting. What do they do? First of all, is it a SPAC? It's not a SPAC? Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. That's a start. Because everything I see is a SPAC these days. I can't even take it anymore. I told you guys in the room today, I just assume it's a, right, first question. I just assume it's a SPAC until proven wrong, you know? I can't look at them anymore. But yeah, this does look interesting. I don't know what sector, I don't know what they do. But you know, you need underbelly action. First of all, we would need to be out of this environment we're in right now. And we need to go back into where the underbelly is in play again, you know, where you don't have to worry about the market. Because the risk is if the global slowdown in China or inflation overpowers the market and you get correlation where everything's moving together, kind of, no one's buying MQ. You know, they're going to wait. They're going to wait. I know it sounds corny. I was even making fun of myself today about the watch list, right? But it's a good time to do that. It really is. So like you like MQ, okay? For like a position, longer term stuff. You keep an eye on it, keep it on radar, and let's see, right? They got to start accumulating things again. You know, not just one sweep and you never see them again. We want to see buying. We want to see them leg into stuff. Yeah, exactly. Come back, right? You remember the batch of names that, and here's a perfect example. Remember those batch of growth names when the growth names couldn't get out of the way that they were buying right when nobody wanted growth? What were those names in the summer? Remember everybody was buying reopening and we started to see like big action. One name got bought out. D-Dog was one. Now was another. Nuon. Yep. Bill. All those names, right? So you remember the Nuon flow? Yeti was another one, Yeti, right? You remember the Nuon flow? Right? They kept coming back and back, and it looked horrible. You know, those stocks looked awful. They looked awful. They couldn't hold green for the life of them, but they kept tattooing it. So we want to at least see that here. You know what I mean? We want to, it may take a little bit of time, but we want to see that. Did it? Maybe it's moving with, who bought them out? Microsoft? Wait a second. Who bought them out? I don't even remember. Microsoft, right? So why is this thing pushing higher? Should be trading with Microsoft, wouldn't it? I don't know. So anyway, look, and this is a similar setup. So every time this thing had some weakness, they would bomb it. You know, and it caught news and they cashed the ticket. But there were so many of them. Yeti, same thing. You know, you guys know the names. So we want it to be obvious. We want it to stick out. But without a doubt, so I think, Ani, what'd you write? What did they do, MQ? Where'd you go? A digital payment, oh, fintech. I remember somebody talking about this. Okay, fintech. But yeah, I'm like you guys. I like these type of names. Affirm, I mean, that thing's an animal. What a beast. I agree, John. I agree. You know, it's like worn out. Yeah, I mean, what they buy, I gotta look at the flow. I'll be honest with you, John. I was so focused on the overall market that you know what I mean? I didn't play any names, and it's so unlike me. I just, you know what I mean? I just played the market. The S&P 500. MQ December 20th. Wow, I remember that's a nice sweep too. That's a nice sweep. And you got some time. Hey, if you like it already, I can't blame you to put on a piece, you know? Repeat what? What do you mean repeat? Yeah, this name, there's no weeklies. No, they didn't come back for, why? There was buying in this name prior? He's talking about the December action from yesterday. Oh, not today, Motion. No, no. Yesterday he's talking about. That was yesterday, right? CRSR, yeah, right? And I really thought that was going to squeeze, but you had the market turn sour too. That's the problem. You know what I mean? You had the market turn sour. Right? All these names, and I still like them. Look at these names. They don't dip. Like you see this like snow. I mean, is this enough of a dip? I guess it is, no? These names. Yeah, that's the thing. To buy weakness, I can't anymore. This pisses me off. Yeah, they don't come in. When you want them to come in, they don't come in ever, right? It's so sickening. Marvel, that's a beast too. Yeah, this thing's a beast. Let's see some names you guys are talking about here. You guys have some interesting names all the time. Wow, that's some consolidation here for a while now, right? Damn. Does look interesting though. Is it fintech too? Yeah, GM, it's tough for me. You know, it's not my style. It looks good though, and it catches a lot of flow. GM. Does Ford look as good? Same thing. Yeah, these things look good, right? It's amazing how, how there's so many, you look at a group of stocks, you can't find any uglier, right? Then you got some stocks, they look so good. Then you look at a bunch of stocks, they're so dead. There's a huge disparity in this market. Ford calls you sold today. I remember you mentioning that. It looks good. You know what else popped to new highs without I didn't even realize because I thought like these reopening names were struggling a bit. That Live Nation they were bombing. What's that symbol? LIVN? LYV. That's it. Did you guys see this? Liz. How the hell did that happen? I take my eyes off, it's gone. Jesus. This is Josh Brown, right? Well, maybe he helped pump it here. That's what. MTTR, he helped out today. This is a nice yank. You know what I mean? This is one to keep an eye on. Maybe should buy it back with a little bit of time. Probably equity I'll buy. So I don't sell it right away. Just tuck away a little bit. Not tuck it away forever. I'm just talking about giving a little leash to it. I don't even remember where I sold it. It's probably still higher than where I sold it. Right? Probably. It is. That's how big of a move it was. My God. Yeah, I like these names. You know what names I just can't get excited about? And because the flow, it's hard to get a read on these names because there's so many shorts like this, right? Skills. I can't do it. You know, maybe you want to scalp them, trades, whatever. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Yeah, it does look like that. You know, I can't do it. And that's the problem. You have shorts in here for so long that you see these call buyers come in, these cheap ass call buyers, you know, and you don't know if they're hedging a short. You don't know if they're speculating. Exactly. Like you put the star out here, right? A Christmas tree. You don't know what they're doing. So I want to look like the names you guys are mentioning that have no hands involved. Nobody's involved, right? MQ, that's one of them. I'm going to look at the action a little bit more just to get an idea. Question, earnings. Anybody have an earnings date? Just so we know, do they have an earnings date? They announced, what's this? That's over the summer. Oh, here it is. Roundabout, what is that? December? December 1st? Why does it say September? I don't know what the hell is this. Not confirmed yet? ONDS. Let's see, George. This is a SPAC. Gotta be. No? This is a SPAC. Guaranteed. 1.5. This is not a SPAC? Really? Legit? What's legit mean? Is it an IPO or is it a SPAC? MTTR is a SPAC? Wow, you guys are raining all over my parade today, huh? See what I mean? We don't even know what they're SPACs in disguise. SPACs, it just, there's too many hands involved. You understand? Too many hands are involved. Yeah, the SPACs, you got to really let them burn down. It's tough. Don't get me wrong, you could trade them. We had a couple nice trades out of those SPACs. Remember that they tattooed? I mean, we only held them a day. Some of you held them a couple days. LCID. There was another one that SHLL, was that one? There were a couple of them. No, yeah. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But you know what I mean. You just don't want to hold on for too long. Like, look, Bova thinks this one's for real. LCID. Right, QS. Look at this though. I can't play them. I'm talking about for positions, guys. I don't want to buy these things for positions. I'll trade them, but I don't want to buy them for positions. Yeah, I want to buy names that nobody, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of hands involved. Because you get sellers in these things. Rivian, that's the Amazon one, right? These charts are insane. You know, look at this. They're insane. These SPAC charts. They're insane. So now they're finding their true value eventually, you know? It's a lot of noise to get in the middle of them. What about, let me ask you, the IPOs, there were a gazillion IPOs that came out that weren't SPACs. Vimeo, that caught some nice action. This is another one. This caught some nice action. No, not today. Last week, Vimeo. App. Yeah, that could action today too. Oh, oh, is this the one that Twitter? Is this it? Vizio, it caught action a few months back. But yeah, this looks interesting too. This is an IPO. You know what's funny? All the ones they bought a piece of Twitter, right? All the ones that, if you think about it, right, the ones that we were really excited about, they all hatched. If you right, you, Snow, what was another one that was? What's Bumble doing? Anything? Bumble's still hanging around, but we don't see flow in it. ONDS drones. Yeah, yeah. I remember somebody telling me about it. Nice move here. Match. And you know, guys, the other thing too that can happen, the overall market, we could kind of go back to what we were doing before this pull, where individual names outperform the majority of the time, and we'll take that, you know. But what will be, we'll see the same type of flow too. You know, they'll be buying stuff rather than sweeping puts and no call buying. They'll be buying stuff. Ryan, you just honestly don't even play games. You buy it, and I don't care what they do. I'm serious. It would bother you more if this thing goes to 200 and you didn't buy it. How do you explain yourself? How does Ryan explain that he doesn't own Ryan if it goes nuts? If there was a stock called Wall Street Jesus, I'd be all over it. Yeah, so this is fintech. Look at this. This is, you know, interesting. Insuring. He said fintech, I think. Ryan, you like these names like me, right? I love the new babies like this. I love them. You know, they're my favorite to build positions in and swing. I love them. Yeah, I can't get excited about the old names. You know, they're always a struggle for me too. Even when I make money, they're a struggle. Yeah, like the GMs, McDonald's, you know what I mean? Even when I make money, they're a struggle. Or maybe I'm just not enjoying myself as much. I like the hidden underbelly gems, the hot growth names. So, as you know, we gotta keep. Oh, Ryan, that was the biggest mistake that I made personally. I bought McDonald's, Boeing, Trip. What the hell else did I buy? Home Depot, which was actually pretty good though. Where if I bought any of the growth COVID plays, forget it. Off those COVID lows. Roots a squeeze play. That's it. Nothing else to it. It's actually probably even shorts who they're so short they're hedging and they buy calls. I think there's got to be a pop in this thing. But I've been saying it for what now? This was a little pop. Yeah. Oh, calm. Yeah. Calm. Oof. Caught a bath. You know what else saw flow today? I heard there was a big seller in, and they cleared them out. Pags. And this is a good stock. Brazil FinTech. But let me tell you guys, I can't, not you can't. Okay. I'm telling you why. I cannot go 5, 6 positions deep into calls in growth names right now. I can't do it. Because if this does turn into 2018, you're going to get mangled. You realize that, right? You're going to get mangled. You're going to get your shit pushed in. You understand what I'm saying or no? No, nobody likes that. Right? So that's, yeah, we can't do it yet. We can't do it yet. You know, if we do get a setup where we get Sharpies, get aggressive, get in, hedge funds, then we can do it. Exactly. You just took the words right out of my mouth, Ryan. Ryan just took the words right out of my mouth. You have to be able to put stops and limit the damage. You know? And even with that, you can't hold a basket right now, Ryan. I can't. I can't. You know, I can't. I would love to, but it's we don't have enough yet. You know, we don't have enough yet. Like look, okay? That would be like buying here. And do you know what happens here? The charts don't even do it justice, right? This looks like a can of corn. Oh, I'll just sit through this. You have no idea what this feels like if you're in a basket. Panic early. That's a good line. Yep. That's a good line, Talib. Yeah. And again, if you want to play names, there's a little more risk in names. Okay. But I'm going to use the T word again. You stay short term, exactly. Stay short term, trade it. Don't get too greedy. Complain that it goes higher after you sell it. That means you're doing your job, you know, and you try to look for entries at decent spots. You understand? So, like, even if you do get burned, right? You have a position on, hopefully you made some money here, it's a loser, and you move on. Or like Ryan said, you're stopping yourself out, right? You're playing tactically, you don't have to worry about it. But to leg into individual names, you know, you can't, it's not worth it right now. It's not worth it. Are they pretty bullish? Well, you know what it is? That's the younger crowd, Gamma. That's the younger crowd. Where the older crowd is concerned. Like AAII came out the last couple of weeks, right? Remember we were talking about you had a bullish signal last week? That's retail, but that's mom and pop retail. That's not Robinhood retail. You know? So, yeah, I mean, how are they bullish though? They caught beatings, maybe because they're in Bitcoin, they're bullish. Because all the stocks they had have turned to shit. Every single one of them. What stock do they have that they're making money with? Every stock they were pumping up turned into a disaster. Yeah, coin. Okay. Now coin bottomed, but they've been talking about coin since it came public. I mean, a firm, that's one stock, I guess. This has been good. Crazy flow in the firm too. Yeah, I like this longer term. You know what I mean? It's had some nice long-term flow. UPST, that's another beast. That's another beast. You know, a firm, I like a firm better because, you know, it's stretched, but UPST is beyond stretched. Oh, that was another name, Ash. Okay, that was another name. Court action. You know where court action? Yep. Earnings got in the way. Unreal. KPLT. I know who else? Somebody, I think it was Pablo or somebody mentioned this stock. He like, yeah. SPAC, right? That's definitely a SPAC. That's definitely a SPAC. They say it's a playoff of firm, yeah. Did you hit MTTR? No, I owned it here. And then I sold it like here. I haven't got back in it yet. I haven't got back in it yet. You guys know what I'm waiting for, right? To like really put the pedal to the metal. You guys know what I'm waiting for. Exactly. I think that's the only thing that will give me hedge fund short too. I mean, they probably come together, Matt. They probably show up together. But, and I've seen markets, you know, continue to live on through Sharpies being hedged, right? It's not the best sell or short signal, but I cannot go full risk on with Sharpies like this. I can't do it. Yeah. I can't do it. Here, this is what I need. You know what I mean? You give me this, and then I'm ready here. I'll take my black and blue if I lose money. Like a man. Yeah, I just, you know, that's where at least I have the conviction. I try to buy with time, not necessarily leaps, but I kind of want to buy with time, Mark. You know what I mean? Because it helps me stay in the trade longer. Otherwise, I still get out. Even with time, I get out too early. But not necessarily leaps. Maybe like 5-6 months out. 3 to 6 months in that vicinity. That's what I like to do usually. No earlier than 3 months. You know, because like I said, that's not saying I'm going to hold it for 6 months, but it allows me to stay in the trade. Yeah, I look for flow that, you know, kind of like meets those characteristics with time. You know what I mean? And that's what I look for. McDonald's, yeah. So, you know, they don't come around as often as we'd like. We're due. We're due. You know, we're due for one. Let's see what they did this week. Let's see if they did anything this week. You know, because how about this, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to start legging into positions this week. And then all of a sudden, tomorrow comes around, I see this. What am I going to do? You know what I mean? I'll need a psychiatrist. Yeah, that's a. Yeah, I got exactly like you see this, you know what I mean? They're starting to take off the hedges aggressively. Later, DW, that's when you get ready. And you like that's what we did here, right? We were waiting for it. We knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when. And then you get boop, and you're like, all right. And then this was a blessing. This, okay? Because this is how it usually develops. And then little by little, they put hedges on, This, for almost a quarter of the rally, they're all in, was nuts. So, but yeah, we get that, and I'll definitely be excited about swinging. Without a doubt, just being more patient in general, just being more patient. For now, keep the trader's hat on. CLF, the risk, Dylan, like CLF, I like both names. I like, okay. CLF, I really like. The problem, your risk in the name is that you get this global slowdown. And I think what the problem is that even though the company fundamentally sound and, in reality, it's rallied, but, it's been doing nothing for years, you have people long in the name. And if they need to puke it up, you're going to get some selling. I told you guys, it sounds like a broken record, but that's my fear. China, a global slowdown out of China spilling all over the place wrecks a lot, especially cyclicals. Ultimately, it may help some of the names we were just looking at. The underbelly growth names or the Cathy names, they might eventually do well in that environment. They should. Yeah, Dylan, that's the problem. Otherwise, these things would be raging right now. They would be raging. So now if China doesn't turn out, like if, let's say, the worst of China, later, Ani, if the worst of China is behind us now, and the fear is like inflation or higher rates, these things will rock. The only thing holding them back right now, Dylan, is the China shit. That's the only thing. I don't even think you would need rates to push higher for these things to do well. I think they would do well anyway. It's the China thing. So if that goes away, I think it opens the door for these things again to start acting nicely. Like look at Dylan, you see some of these commodities out there. Some of them were scorching, then they come crashing back down again. Then you get shortages like in coal when those things go parabolic. It's just craziness. But like copper hasn't done a thing. Because it's more economically sensitive, right? Dr. Copper. It doesn't look bad. It's just been stuck here. So, we'll see Again, it's more of a wait and see here. It's more of a wait and see. But I like both those names. I really do. Boyle. Yeah, that's the nat gas, right? You know what's funny? I forgot about Boyle. I always look at the UNG. Boyle's the leveraged one. What a move. Uh, yeah. PCT caught some action today. Febs. This is a SPAC, isn't it? I think. Isn't Otley a SPAC? No. Oh, maybe Otley's not. Otley's been seeing some flow recent. Wait, what do you mean? PCT is an IPO? You sure? And this one looks like a SPAC, maybe not Otley. And Posh was an IPO. I remember Posh. Wow, this thing could have beaten. Yeah, Otley and Posh don't look like SPACs. Whew. These things got mangled. I don't know. Tough call on these. Again, I would just like Ryan hit the nail on the head. Instead of playing three, I would pick one. I would try to utilize the stop loss. No matter whether they caught flow or not, treat them all the same. You know what I mean? Stop yourself out, especially if you see the market getting funky. PLTR. Oh, after hours now? I don't know. What's going on? I don't see anything. Oh, the last day or two. I think analysts were bashing it. Bashing some deal they did recently. Guys, I don't think like this PLTR. I think you got to get used to this because it's a Reddit name, right? We spoke about this. This is going to be the most bumpy ride you ever had in your life. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of shakeouts. So if you really like the name, you just got to close your eyes, hold your nose. Or buy dips. You could try to buy dips on it. This is not the worst spot in the world to start looking if you like it. Yeah, it's not an easy hold without a doubt. It would drive me nuts. But, if I really believed in the name, I would just buy off a pullback and hang on. Otherwise it's tough. Like you guys are saying, it's too tough to trade, especially. Like you get smoother moves out of all the other ones. I know they're larger in price, but how did this MDB snap back? They're already starting to buy this dip already. Oh, is that what it was, George? Old news that it got pumped out again? Twilio caught a bet. Nothing crazy, but it's not a bad spot. Roku saw some action. That was up big yesterday, though. Let's see. At this point now, what I would do is sit tight. Sit tight. Let's see what tomorrow looks like. You know what I mean? Look for selling. We get some selling. If there's sweeper activity into the selling, Jules, if we get some sweeper activity into the selling, we could possibly look for entries in some of these names, especially some that haven't really squeezed much. But take it nice and easy. Nice and easy. CCJ, that's another one, right? Uranium went bananas, but it still looks good. This move was just insane. It was just insane. It's just digesting that move. Take two. Wow. Wow. What about ATVI? Is that get out of its own way yet? Not really, right? Yeah, let's see what the number brings tomorrow. It's going to be really interesting, more for rotation, I think, than anything else, right? So a hot number, you get inflation, commodity names, maybe reopening names, but tech might struggle. And if rates go lower, the opposite, you know? Netflix, Jim, has been catching nice action. I mean, it's run a decent amount here, though, you know? But I would watch it off dips. Facebook is just noisy right now. You know, it's just too noisy. I would let it come in more, personally. I would let it come in more. You know, or chop around even. Yeah, this thing's a beast. I mean, this is a little too stretched for me. Yeah, AMD, you know, just been going sideways for a while here. Does look good. Does look good. Penn caught a little bit of action today, but you know, into strength, I'm not crazy about it. Hasn't really gone anywhere yet. What about DraftKings? Jules! Jesus Christ, Jules. DraftKings too, right? Yeah, I'm gonna run now too, Jay, anyway. My dog's driving me nuts here. All right, so let's see what tomorrow brings, right? If we do get some selling and we see buying into that selling, I think we could get a trade there anyway. All right, guys. Thanks for coming by as always. Yep. Have a good night. Good luck tomorrow.